Hey guys, it's Percolating, and today we are back with another Real Talk, which I know it's kind of soon, but something recently came up, and of course it caught my attention, and I did a bit of research and a little bit of looking around, and it made me want to talk about it. But before I can get into that, let me go ahead and tell you guys what we're playing today is MXM Masters X Masters. It's a pretty great MOBA game that also has a fantastic single player if you don't feel like actually getting crazy with everybody online. You have options. I recently picked up this game and I'm probably going to be playing a lot more of it, especially if you guys enjoy the gameplay in the background. I think it's a lot of fun and I'm probably going to bring it out on a couple streams, but of course that's beside the point. So let me just call out Miss Sabrina Cruz, Miss Nerdy and Quirky. I appreciate all of her content. I think she's a fantastic creator and I met her in real life. She's a really cool person. But she recently put out a video which is in the description below and I highly suggest you check it out. I would honestly say check it out before you watch this to see if you might be able to catch my drift and what I'm talking about beforehand. But she recently had a video go up talking about that was titled "Sorry, I'm an Imposter." And in it, she talks about someone giving her the title of possibly having imposter syndrome, which was a thing I had never heard of. But then she goes into detail about what imposter syndrome is, and the best way to describe it is it's when someone doesn't think that they are actually capable of the things that they've done. They don't think that their own worth and merit has actually been them, but more or less it's been more of luck and what and like a bunch of circumstances, and not actually what they've done, but what people have done around them that they can kind of just happen to be around for. And it as much as it sounds like it might be a very dumb-ish problem, it's I can see where it hurts. Um, she talks about the symptoms, and I feel like it's a very easy thing to go through. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the symptoms, and I'm gonna be kind of quoting a bit from her. I don't, not exactly, but I'm gonna be paraphrasing from what I got from her, which it's very, again, I did my own research, which she was very spot on with her definition, which is why I'm using her. But you can do your own research and do your own thoughts, and let me know what you think about the entire situation on your own terms. But let's talk about the symptoms of imposter syndrome. So some of the symptoms that were talked about was the ability to work hard to not be called out. Like, the biggest thing is that they will pretend to be working hard because they don't want to be caught as they don't want to be called out for being an imposter. But that working hard is usually them doing their own hard work that will get them whatever they were looking for anyway. It's not them usually being an imposter, but I'm pretty sure with this already you can kind of see how this can be a bit of a damning thing. But so you'll work hard to not be called out, which it's like, okay, but everyone should be working hard on something that they want. But an imposter feels like they're doing it simply to not be called out, not literally just so they aren't called an imposter in front of people. They don't want to be called out. They don't want that embarrassment. So they will work hard so they seem like they are really into whatever they're doing. The second thing that they'll want to do is that they'll give answers that other people want to hear with no confidence in what they would actually do. They'll give, if someone were to ask you, hey, should I eat this apple or should I eat this cupcake? The imposter would say, hey, eat the apple, it's better for you, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But in all actuality, they might be saying, hey, they might actually be thinking, just go eat the fucking cupcake. And they'll give you what you want to hear because they don't have confidence in their own actual thought process. You see what I'm, so they'll give answers you want to hear. They'll be very uplifting. It's like, yeah, you'll do it, you can do it. It's it's like, yeah. But it's a big facade that they put on to make sure that they aren't called out for being a bullshit imposter. The third thing that they'll do is they'll mix charms with their abilities, but as Sabrina says, everyone does that. Literally everyone does that to get from one place to the next. It's like I cannot have gotten half of the things that I've done with just my abilities, and I couldn't have done it with just my charms. It was definitely a mixture of the fact that I'm charming and have the abilities to do things, if that makes sense. Like, no one gets No one gets everything they want from one thing. They have to have a bit of a mix. They definitely have to have a mix, which is exactly what like life intends, but they feel like it's just their charms and it's not their actual abilities. They don't have confidence in their own abilities with imposter syndrome, and that's usually the biggest thing, is that they just have no confidence in their abilities with that. And that's in a nutshell, very, very simplified, TLDRRR. Like, you didn't read, you really didn't want to read. So that's what that is. That's what imposter syndrome can be. But the next thing that she took to was something that I found very, very interesting. And I'm pretty sure if you were to look in her comments and see what I commented, you'd already kind of understand what I'm probably thinking of. But the next thing she says is that imposter syndrome, where you can't take your own, where you aren't able to take credit for your own abilities, that entire thing that we just talked about, it has a huge demographic target, which is women. And that's where I have to personally say, Miss Sabrina, I feel like you're leaving a bit out, just a little bit, because immediately the other thing that I thought was minorities. And of course it is because I am, of course, part of that I am a minority, and I, to an extent, realize that I've got a bit of imposter syndrome to that thought process. Just like women can, so can minorities. And this is where I deviate a bit, because she talks about it's like it targets women, but the other thing that like I said, it's a real big target is for minorities who have to be a token. It's a huge thing that we can't get credit for our own success as well. And I'm glad that you brought it to my attention, because I wanted to talk about it here. I feel like this is a great thing to talk about, just because, again, it's one of those things that no one will talk about until it's brought to their attention. But once it's brought to their attention, it's something that's worth discussing. So I appreciate you bringing it up, Miss Sabrina. I appreciate it. But I'd love for you to sit back, listen, and maybe just give me your thoughts on what I talk about here. So, but all things considered, I can completely understand how it targets women. I've talked to a friend of mine. She's a very intelligent black lady, and she's very much, when I brought this to her attention and told her about it, she was very much like, yep, I can totally see this as well. She was, granted, she was given very baseline information, more or less exactly what I was giving you guys here, and again, the video that Sabrina provided. But from that, she was able to kind of it's like, yep, no, I totally remember times where things like this have happened with me, where I didn't feel like I could take credit for something that I did. And it always came back down to one of two things for her, which again, it brings us all, it will continue to bring us back to this video. But she says it was between her being a woman and her being black, and on the occasion the two. So with that, you can see that imposter syndrome is a very, very real thing that people can very, very well feel. It can very well affect the way people work, and it's an interesting idea that there's an entire group of people who probably will never have to feel that they did something. Like they don't have to ever have that feeling of, well, I didn't do this by myself. It was someone else who really did it, and I have to take all the credit. There are very few people there's a very big group of people who just never have to have that feeling. But it's very often that any intelligent black person or any intelligent woman will always have to second guess. It's like, did I do this on my own, or did someone else give me the ability to do this, and that's the only reason that I got this? And the only reason I bring that up is because in the US of A, fantastic United States of America, the great and fantastic place. I'm using all this as sarcasm, by the way. Yeah, no, the USA has a very, very real affirmative action policy. I'm not sure about the rest of the world and how the rest of the world may have to deal with affirmative action and trying to show that no, everyone's equal, but for here, it's very much a very huge thing. Matter of factly, it is it's like a signed into policy type thing where you have to have a certain percentage of black people, mixed Asians, blah blah blah, blah 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 blah. You have to have a certain percentage and or number depending on how things work, and because of that, things get very hairy, very about a lot of things. With affirmative action comes the possibility of just accepting them for their color, for their minorityship. It's like, yo, we need 3 more Asians to reach the quota of being able to continue to run with affirmative action and the incentives that it provides. Well, let's not bring in those capable white people, or let's not bring in those capable black people. We need a couple more Asians, so let's move 3 of them and bring in a couple Asians. Like, you can see how that might play a bit of a fear factor for some minorities, because it's like, did I get into this fantastically historic college because of my own merit, or did I get in because of my something that I couldn't change, something that my parents gave me, something that their ancestors gave them, just my blood rights? Like, was it just that I'm a black person, or was it that I'm an intelligent person? And those are 2 things that can feel like they're misconstrued. And it doesn't help that a lot of times people will make jokes about it. People will very well make jokes about the benefits of being a minority, as if the minorities don't have to go through some major bullshit. Like, just imagine, it's like, I imagine it for a minute, because I know I've had people do things like this to me, even though I didn't plan on going to college. People tried to convince me that I should, and one of the arguments that I should go to college is, it's like, oh, why don't you go to college? I mean, there's so much money out there, especially for a black person. What do you mean? Oh, there's all sorts of money. It's like, there's all sorts of scholarships for being black. It's being intelligent and black is what most of those scholarships are, or being capable and black, but they say that it's just being black. And that in itself is a huge detriment to the psyche of most minorities. It's like, oh, there's tons of scholarships just for being Asian. Oh, there's tons of scholarships for being blah and being blah. Like, yes, there's tons of scholarships for being a thing that I can't control. That makes me really, really excited about this. No. It's like, that's an issue. That is not. I understand why they exist. Don't get me wrong. And the thought process behind them wasn't malintended, but it also is slightly detrimental when people use it as that type of sentencing. Like, you should do it because there's money for black people. You should do it because there's money for minorities. Like, no, it's not just because of minorities. It's not just because I'm a minority. It's because I'm a capable minority. And the reason that's a big deal is because capable minorities aren't regularly a thing. Like, it's usually with minorities, the issue is that we are in a really bad state, and we need that extra help to get out of said state. So someone who's already established is trying to help someone who wants to become an established person by throwing money their way. That's how that's supposed to work. But instead, it just seems like, hey, you're a minority, here's money. Not that, hey, you're a hard-working person with circumstances that don't help you. Here's money to help get you out of that situation. It's, hey, you're a minority, here's money. That's not the same thing. That is there's a very big difference in that, and it's a big thing that comes along with affirmative action, is that it very much always brings it back to, is this my capabilities, or am I here for your number inflation? It's a question that can be asked all the time. there are very many times where I've had to be to certain events and certain things, and I very well am the only black person there, and it is very obvious that everyone else can kind of recognize it, and it's not a good feeling. It's like, am I here to pepper the people, or is that what I'm here for? Because that seems like it. It's like there was no other reason for me to be here. Like, I've had those types of situations and times where it's like, well, I'm just here to be black around you guys. Cool, cool. And it's never a good feeling. And it makes me feel like the token black. And being the token black or the token minority, token Asian, whatever it might be, I always go to Asian for some reason, but no, like, whatever it is, being the token minority is never a good feeling. But with imposter syndrome, you can feel like with imposter syndrome, like you have to be the token black. You'll give the answers that people want to hear. You'll give the answers that won't jeopardize what you've been working for, because, well, I'm kind of stuck here because I've had to work this hard, and it'll completely throw off my entire facade if I do blah blah blah. It's an issue we only minorities would have to deal with. But if we go to a college and you're with your friends, your mixed group of friends, and most of them are mostly white, they will say, hey, let's go do ABC. Something that you probably shouldn't do. You could totally get away with, but just your luck that it won't work out because you're black, and they'll call you out first. In which case, you have to now say, well, guys, I don't know, that would jeopardize my scholarship. And that's playing your token black role as, no, guys, I'm black, so let's not do that. And it can play into multiple continuous stereotypes. And it doesn't help. You can't really be yourself having to be a token black. And that's exactly what imposter syndrome kind of puts you in. That token minority position. Hey, I can't do that. Or, hey guys, we gotta study for this thing because that's how it works. It's like there are entire situations where I have to back out. I have to back out because I'm black. I have to back out being black. Like, it's a thing that exists. It's a thing that has happened many a times where people invite me to do this, that, or the other, and I'm like, you can get away with that, but I can't. And I have to come up with I come up with other reasonings, and I used to come up with other reasonings and give them other answers that would sound good, but a lot of times it was like, I'm not confident. Not at all am I confident. But also at the same time, it's just it's like I don't want to get in trouble and everything come crumbling around me. It's a very real thing where I feel like I can't make bad. I don't have the chance to make bad choices, and it can really fuck with you. Not having the ability to make bad choices can lead to some interesting experiences. There was a definite, like I said, I've gone through many different phases and such and through my lifetime, and I probably will go through many more, but there was definitely a time where I was very I didn't make bad choices. I was just like, nope, I'm not making that choice. That's obviously a horrendous choice for mine, and I didn't do things. And there are times that I regret some of them, but not really. It's not like a regret, more like, I wonder what could have happened. I wonder if it would have been fun. That type thing. But it just in general, there's very many a times where I'm like, wow, imagine, it's like, wow, I can't do this because I'm black, or I imagine like not being able to just go to, like, your friends are all hanging out one place, but you're like, I can't do that because I'll get in trouble for it. And it's like I can't mess up my pretty record because I know it will come back. That ability to not have that inability to make mistakes is a detriment on any minority, and it comes with an entire mindset that you kind of end up falling into after a while, where you're like, well, this isn't me, I would love to have been able to do stuff, but I say I can't because of one A, B, and C. And because of that, now I fall into this, and now it's kind of my persona to not be able to go to this type of thing or that type of thing, because I've made it a public knowledge that it's not good for me. So I can't do this now. It's not that half the time it's not that we don't want to do certain things, but it's just that I'm stuck in the scenario of not being able to. And it's a really bad thing. It's a really damning thing that messes with the psyche. And again, imposter syndrome can really mess with people who think that they're going places but aren't sure. People who have to try to break a glass ceiling can for sure feel the effects of imposter syndrome. And if you think that half of this stuff that I just made up is just me speculating and giving a black spin on things, it's not. There are indeed research. There's been research put into it. I did quick research. I didn't look. Don't get me wrong. I didn't look deeply for a month into this, as I'm sure Sabrina did, to look into like finding stuff. Like I didn't do a deep dive. I did scratch surface area, but I did find that there are entire articles dedicated to it from like very credible sources. So like I would definitely say, if you want to look it up, please do. Some people try to give it its own term as racial imposter syndrome, but I feel like that's just adding more fuel to separate people versus just calling it all imposter syndrome. There's varying degrees. I feel like there are different degrees of imposter syndrome, and one of them can definitely be just being a minority, trying to not get in, trying to make it out of where you started. Starting from somewhere that's like, this isn't the best place, and I want to be somewhere else, and then wanting to go somewhere else, but in the process, you feel unable to make mistakes because you're black, and or you're a minority, and it's like, no, this is not what I want. It's like, I want to be able to have fun, I want to be able to do these things, but I don't trust my own abilities. There are times when you might have your minority friends, they're like, nope, I need to be studying right now. Half the times they don't need to study, but they just it's like they don't need to study. Their abilities honestly could have carried them without that extra hour of study if they were to go out and, you know, have pizza with their friends, but they don't feel confident. A lot of times they don't feel confident in whatever it is. And like I said, this is just me speaking as a black person in the USA in 2017. That is my thoughts on this. But who knows? Maybe it's not the same wherever you are. I know I have at least a couple viewers who are in the UK. I've got viewers who are different parts of the US. I've got a couple viewers in Canada. I would love to know what the thoughts on imposter syndrome and racial imposter syndrome, if you want to get specific. Like, I would love to see what do you guys get out of it? Do you, or maybe there's a couple white people who are like, you know, I suffer from a bit of imposter syndrome too. What are your thoughts on that? How do you suffer? I want to know. Give me more thought process. Give me more thoughts and more things to think about here. Like, these are just my completely vulnerable thoughts on that could be they could be very fallible. They're very fallible thoughts, but that's the point of it, is I want you guys to point out, hey, this is a possibility that you didn't think of. Here's something that you didn't think of. Give me those down in the comments. And Sabrina, if you were nice enough to come and actually watch this video, I appreciate it. I'd love to just know that you watched it. Give me a holler down in the comments as well. Ms. Nerdy and Quirky, check out the video that I've been referencing the entire time. Like I said, it's a very good video. It's a really well thought out. She does very great work, and she doesn't really need my help as far as channels go. She's got a better channel without me even talking about her. But just in general, I of course want to shout out the people who are doing cool stuff, and of course I'd love to see her do way better with her channel and whatnot. But if you want someone who's about my age and still fairly relatable, she's a fantastic individual to go to. She's also Canadian, which makes her like automatically like 100 times better than me. So that's all good, all well and done. But guys, this has been Perkling. It's been real. It's been fun, and it's been real fun. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.